Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Optimize podcast. I am here with Keira Brinton, and we're going to talk about all things health, wellness, books, your new book. And Keira is a member of Optimize, also a friend of mine and part of the Genius Network. And let me start off by reading your bio, just so that the audience can get to know you a little bit better. But we plan on taking a deep dive to really learn how you got into writing books, connecting really with God, and how you basically have a mediumship and how you help others to channel their books. I know we've done a live before. So a little bit about Keira Brinton. She's the founder of Joan of Arc Publishing. Joan of Arc Publishing is dedicated to publishing books that are bold, fearless, and focused on changing the world. Keira is also a book medium, which creates clarity and momentum for every author who publishes with Joan of Arc Publishing. She's also a 5-time author, spiritual entrepreneur, mother to 5 children, and a lover of life. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you for accepting my invitation. Keira and I know each other for about 1 year now. We met at the Genius Network. Actually, we both pretty much enrolled in Genius Network around the same time. At the annual event is when we were both exposed to it. And so we've been meeting monthly for like the last year, going to all the different networking meetings. And then every time Keira's in town from Idaho, she always comes to Optimize, always reps Optimize, and had your first, I believe, cold water therapy experience very early on when you first met us.
Yeah, I did. I love Optimize. I'm like the biggest fan. I'm a Optimize fangirl. That's what I am.
Yeah, you had like a really powerful feedback with Cheryl. I remember after your first session, and then ever since then, you've just been coming regularly because you travel to come to Arizona every month. Although you are originally from here, I believe. Is that right?
I am.
Born and raised.
I was raised since I was born in Utah, but we moved there when I was 5, and I lived there my whole life. I actually lived there until 2.5 years ago. So I am just fresh to Idaho, and a little sad that I moved when Optimize became a thing. Well, we just need to optimize here.
And now we're creating a mini one in your house.
We are.
Which is very convenient for you. Now, Joan of Arc Publishing is something that you founded, and I'd love to talk a little bit more about that. But before we get into the book writing, I would love to know what a spiritual entrepreneur is. It's something that you have in your bio, and I would love to kind of build upon that. And yeah, what exactly is a spiritual entrepreneur?
So to me, a spiritual entrepreneur is someone who is guided by the divine in all aspects of business. I did not go to school to be a business guru, and yet because I build business guided by the divine, working with my angels, what I believe is also working with God, I've been able to build this really successful business in ways that I don't think anyone could have actually told me how to do. It's been very intuitive. It's been very divinely guided. My marketing is literally all done with just my angels. Like I just call them out. And so everything is just done spiritually. And then I take it into the physical world and create physically.
And how did you get into this work? So like, where did your journey start? As we mentioned in your bio, you have 5 children, you're a mother, you're kind of raised here mostly in Arizona, born in Utah, but moved up to Idaho a few years ago. How did you get into writing and entrepreneurship? Were you doing something drastically different prior before you got on this path?
So I will say that entrepreneurship has always been in my blood. It's who I've always been. At 12, I started a dance studio in my parents' garage and taught all the neighbor kids dance for like $12 a month, right?
That's awesome. You have a membership model. I love it.
Seriously, I did. And then, I didn't grow up. My parents, we just didn't have a lot of money, and I have really high taste. So my mom was like, let's go to Savers to buy your clothes. I'm like, no, I want to buy from Nordstrom's. So I ended up getting a job where I could like literally wrap people in ace bandages to help them lose weight. And if you could wrap fast enough, you could get 2 people in an hour. I think I made $20 a wrap. So I was 16 making $40 an hour, and also a really like dedicated ballerina dancer. So I was like, how do I make as much money as I can in the short amount of time that I can work so I could go buy my clothes at Nordstrom's? And I did. Like, this is who I was, you know? And then I remember being 17 and being like, I need to make more money. And my mom, you know, they had a client they traded with who was a massage therapist. And I was like, I think I could figure out how to be a massage therapist. So I went one time, watched my mom's massage therapist give her a massage. I was like, got it. I know exactly how to be a massage therapist. I launched a massage therapy business to all my cousins and family for $20 an hour out of my bedroom on Saturday morning. So entrepreneurship is like what I was like wired to be. Then I went to massage school, and I actually was a massage therapist for 10 years. No, 20 years. It was 18 to 38, 20 years of my life. I was a massage therapist. And that actually was when I began to learn how to hear the body. So I spent a lot of time working on people's bodies, and they would share their emotional struggles, and I could begin to hear like their chakras. I know that sounds weird, but like I could hear what was stuck inside of them. And about 10 years into my massage therapy journey, I became a certified like healer, energy healer. I went to energy healing courses, and I began to work with people who were having addictions. And this was just like, oh, this was what I was here to do, was to help people heal. And then I got like burned out. I was like, people are just coming in, I make them feel really good, and then they go back into the world and they don't do a damn thing. I was like, I'm over this. Like, I don't want to be this type of a healer. So
you do one-on-ones with them mainly?
Yeah, no ones. Mm-hmm. So this was always happening during my kids' nap times, right? So I'm like raising 5 kids, put kids down for naps, doing healing work, and then at night I would give massages. So this was kind of like how my daily life worked at this point. And 2017, I hit a really low. I had all these trauma memories of being sexually abused as a kid be pulled up. And like I had known that they had happened, but I hadn't processed it. And in 2017, actually this week, February 17th, 2017 was the day I actually almost committed suicide. And as I was about to take my life, God said, stop, you have work to do. And somewhere in that heap of a mess on the floor of my office, a higher version of myself agreed. Like, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay in a world that's filled with trauma, that's filled with hell. I'm going to stay because if I have work to do, then I have work to do. And I would say that was a rebirth for me. Like, I actually changed down to like my cellular makeup. I became a new person, and I made a commitment that I would do everything God asked me to do. And shortly afterwards, I was inspired to write a book. As soon as I started writing that book, I was inspired to start a publishing house. And the rest is literally, that's the model it's been. I'm shown a vision, and then I take action. I'm shown a vision, and I take action. And never did I ever think I'd be where I am right now, only a few short years later. And I would say it was because of that commitment I made. Like, it was like a declaration contract of like, if I'm going to stay, then I'm going to do big work.
And that's the part where people really get stuck. By the way, thank you for sharing all that and for being vulnerable. For everyone that listens to this, vulnerability is definitely power. And I learned that kind of later on in my life. So thank you for being powerful and sharing that. The hard part that most people miss when it comes to entrepreneurship is a lot of time thinking, planning, which is all necessary, but it sounds like you are very action oriented. Like, you feel something, you process it kind of briefly, and you go for it. And you kind of learn as you go. And I think that's like the main skill that most people lack, that prevent them from really getting their ideas off the ground. So what was your first book that you kind of channeled and came up with? I know I have this one in my hand. God is My Business Plan, which I have a few copies, and I actually gave one to a very close friend of mine who you have met. Her name's Christy. And she works for us at Optimize. She was at our workshop when we did the Wim Hof method. It was her birthday. And I was like, I know this book is going to speak directly to her soul, because you guys just have a lot of similarities. So I have my copy. Lauren has her copy. And then we gifted a copy.
That makes me so happy. So my first book, I'm not going to lie, I did not want to write that book. So I had known that, like, I had felt the inspiration, like, it's time to write a book. And I was like, who am I to write a book? Like, I didn't go to college. Like, I had like a 2.7 in high school. Like, come on, like I'm not going to write a book, you know? But I had made this commitment. So every day I put the prayer up. All right, God, like, what book do you want me to write? What book do you want me to write? And one day I'm driving down the road, and clear as day, I see a vision, top of a book down to the bottom. And I see the words, and it says, "The hidden gifts within the trauma of sexual abuse." And I was like, oh, hell no. I am not writing that book. But I was, because I'd made this commitment, right? So at that time, we only had one computer in our home, and my husband would take it to work at 7 a.m. And then he didn't get home until like 10. Like, he had really long hours. He worked in corporate. So I had to get up at 5 to write a book that I didn't really want to write on the one computer we owned. And it really was my first experience of channeling a book through, because it was so easy for me. And I didn't think it would be so easy. And it was so beautiful easy in the sense that words came through. It was hard in the sense of moving through trauma that needed to be written about. But that was the first book I wrote. And that book is actually what I would say elevated my gifts. And that book was the thing that broke me open into this whole new world that I now live in. That's why I'm so passionate about people writing the books that they're inspired to write, because they have no idea what that book's going to open. Like, I'm not here teaching people how to move through trauma. Like, I don't help people who are survivors. Like, that's not what my business is. But that book opened me up to be able to become who I needed to become.
How was the response of the book? So obviously you weren't a writer previously. You were doing massage. You were doing kind of healing arts pretty much most of your life, and you still are in many ways.
Yeah.
And then you decide that I'm going to write this book. I'm not a writer. I'm not an editor. I don't even know if you wrote for fun or personally, or if it just was it even a hobby at that time?
I mean, I've been so journaling has been like, I was like the girl, like I was a weird child. Okay. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was very, very shy. Books were my friends. So I would read a full chapter book within 5 days. Every week, it was like Friday, that chapter book was finished. I'd start the next one. It was like they were my friends. So it's really beautiful that now I'm a publisher, because books were like my friends. But journaling, I've probably had like 100 journals from when I was 10 up. Like, I just journaled and journaled and journaled my whole life. It got a lot less as I had a lot of kids, but journaling has definitely been a big part. And I would say this book, like, it's not like everyone knows about this book, but the people who've read this book have told me like it changed their life. And that's all that I could ever ask for, you know?
So books and writing have been a part of your life since you're a young girl. And it was just kind of like this thing that you did, but it wasn't part of like your career or your job or any of that. And it's funny how those things resurface and then become obviously like part of like your movement and everything that you're doing. That happens a lot. And now you help other people to write their books, and we'll get into that shortly. Obviously overcame like a lot of obstacles. You had one computer, so it's not like it was easy for you. You have 5 kids. You have a lot of excuses to be like, I'm not going to write this book.
Yeah.
More excuses than most people who want to write a book, including myself. So I really commend you for that, because just to wake up early, to put in the time, and then obviously wait again the next day, even though like you might have that momentum, you just want to keep going. That's really difficult to do. I also want to talk a lot about your partnership as well. I know that you created a partnership with Evan Carmichael. Most people are familiar with him. He's pretty famous in the world of entrepreneurship. But one of the hardest parts about writing a book, I hear, is like once you get the book written, is like getting it out there for people to read. So what are some of your strategies on that? And what were some of your experiences either with your first book or obviously as you started to develop this skill over time? I'd love to know, the marketing and getting the book out there and getting it in front of people. What has been your experience this far?
So this is a big piece to our publishing house. And I say our because Evan joined me in June of last year as a business partner with me in my publishing house. And this is something that we're always masterminding together. Like, how do we help our authors get their books into the world? So one of the ways that we do that is if you publish with us, 2 mastermind sessions a month. We have 4 mastermind sessions a month. 2 of them are focused only on marketing. And we have a whole course on like how people pre-launch. So the pre-launch is actually super important. And the pre-launch isn't what you think it is. It's like actually you just showing up in the world and being vulnerable and sharing and letting people know that a book is coming out. So one of the biggest hurdles I've seen is that people don't talk about their books. That means that they don't talk about that they're writing a book. So then when they hit the world with a book, everyone's like, whoa, what happened? I didn't know a book was coming out. So a huge focus is like, you got to be telling, you got to be talking about it. You got to be sharing it, letting people get excited that a book is coming out. And then of course, there's the post publishing, and it's all about collaboration. It's all about who can you collaborate with? Who can you go and share on their podcast and you help them out on the back end? Who can you reach out to and give them 10 copies? There's so much about like, let's not do this by ourselves. And so many authors, and I have worked with authors for when I say so long, a few years now, where I've seen some hurdles. And the hurdle always is thinking about the book. And then also as soon as the book goes live, most authors tank emotionally because it's extremely vulnerable.
Sure.
And it's like you work so hard to write the book and then you get it published and then it's like they just shoot, they tank. So my new model is it's 12 months that people go in with us when they publish. And I'm like, get your book out by month 6. And we have 6 more months together. 6 more months of coming in and getting support and hearing marketing gurus give you new ideas. Like, how do we help authors stay in momentum is always the goal for me. So for us, it's like a lot of things. It's massive support. You're going to have massive support through me. Evan grabs marketing agents, like people he knows are really brilliant at marketing. We bring them in to talk to our authors. We have like support teams that help our authors know what to post or email or share about for 100 days after their book goes live. So like I wish there was like some secret sauce. The only secret sauce is momentum.
Momentum. You got to keep
It's
that
just momentum. You got to keep the momentum. And that means there's not one right way, but it's like if you consistently share, consistently collaborate, consistently reach out, your book's going to do well. The only reason why it doesn't do well is because like you stop talking about it.
I see Joe does that very well. Joe Polish,
Mm-hmm.
like he obviously has his recent book that's come out a few months ago.
Yeah.
What's in it for them? And he constantly is talking about it, promoting it, bringing it up, gifting it, all just kind of different ways of just like keeping the energy of the book moving. Now it looks like you have a full service where you're getting with people very early on to one, help them develop the idea of their book or help them to channel that. Like, what is their book supposed to be about, all the way to the publishing, well, the creation, the publishing, and then of course the marketing. So I'd love to talk more about how you work with people to channel their book and get that information that might be dormant inside their body to actually surface. And why do you think it is so important for people to write their book? And, what's the significance around, people going through this process? What have you learned? That's a lot there.
So we'll dive in first with when I started doing healing work. So when I went to my first healing academy, which actually is my dad. Both my parents are healers and they both have academies. So I went to my dad's first academy and I started to actually see through the veil. So I started to have spirits come to me. And I'm literally in the middle of the night nursing my 5th baby and dead people are coming to me. And I was like, this just isn't going to work. I don't really want to be a medium. This is not actually serving my life. It was really intense. And I just didn't love it. So after a year of giving messages and pretty much being a medium, I told God, I'm out. I don't want to be a medium. Like, I need this gift to be gone. I need to raise 5 kids. And I don't need dead. Like, I can't have dead people coming to me while I'm cooking dinner. Like, this doesn't work for me. And so the gift actually left. And rewind a few years ago when I was coaching clients, I was just coaching. I was coaching people on how to live their better lives and wake up their gifts. All of a sudden, books started to show up, but they had the same energy of when I used to see spirits. So it was like, oh, I know this. I know how to do this, but it's for a higher good for me. This is actually a really great way for me to use my gifts. I'll do this. And so I became like a book medium, and it's so much freaking fun. I love it. And it lights me up. And what that means is I can sit with someone, we call their book in, and their book like shares with me messages that need to come through. And sometimes I'm actually shown like the pages of like how it needs to be formatted. I can actually see where it's stuck in people's body, because that's what happens is like the book gets stuck in people's body. It's like this excitement comes up and then they clamped it down and it gets stuck. And what happens then is that they get stuck everywhere. So if a book is shown up to somebody, I'm like, you've got to birth it, because when you birth it, all this energy is going to come through for you. And so many amazing things are going to be coming to you because you let it out of your body. You don't have it stuck in you, right?
All these different opportunities must surface just from getting that energy moving, flowing, sharing your gifts. I mean, I can see so many different reasons why, people go through that process.
It's like this. And I'm like trying to debate if I share this on your podcast, but it's all the same energy. Okay. So it's like if writing comes from the sacral chakra, which is creation, and it's starting to come up and then we cap it. It's the same thing as like, can you even imagine capping an orgasm? Like, it's the most ridiculous idea ever. But when we put it into the sense of creativity, we don't use the same like thought process around it, and we cap it.
It's the same energy.
It's the same energy. And we're capping this magic that's actually here for us. But we're like, oh, it's not time. What? Like, who says that? Who's like, oh, it's not time for this orgasm. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But it's the same damn energy. It's the same place in the body. So the more we can like listen and let these creations come through, the more expansion we get, the more success we have, the more joy we have, the more freedom we have. So I'm all about like liberation, like just liberate the message, liberate it, because it's going to do so many wonderful things for you.
Now, you've written 5 books so far?
So I've written 3 on my own. I've been in 2 collaboration books. So I'm in 5, maybe I'm actually in 3 collaboration books at this point. So I guess that's 6 books that I've been in, but 3 are mine. So the first is The Hidden Gifts. The second one is called, what is it called? Rise Up and Awaken to the Joy of Being Human. That actually came to me in a vision. I had a vision, and the next morning was like, this needs to be written. And I'll tell this quick story because so many people are like, oh, it's not the time to write a book. Like at that point, it was 2020 when this vision came to me. I was homeschooling all 5 of my kids. My husband's job, like his job, like got dissolved in 2020. So the breadwinner of the house, I was building a 30-course class. I was running a mastermind, and then God's like, hey, you need to write this book. I'm like, what? You've got to be kidding me.
When do I have time?
Literally the worst time ever. But I know the power of writing books. They actually come in and they take this momentum energy and they wrap your whole life in momentum. So I was like, actually, writing a book right now is probably what I need, because it's going to give me momentum to do everything I need to do. And sure enough, like that book came through in 30 days. And it's very beautiful. It's full color. I hired an artist. I did all this beautiful artwork in it. It's a journal. It's a guidebook. It's so beautiful. And it came through in 30 days. I wrote it in 30 days while homeschooling my kids, while doing all this. And it literally brought me so much success into my business that month because I was in so much creative momentum.
Wow.
And then this final book came through, God is My Business Plan. And same thing. I knew I needed to write this book for a while. I brought it through. I mean, literally, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I I have a lot of ADD energy, which means I have some serious superpowers. And I freaking wrote that book in 11 hours.
Cranked it out.
I like peed like 3 times. Like literally just sat down. Now, a lot of the content had been written in a course I created. So I took pieces of my course, but 11 hours, pulled it together, and then talk about every time I write a book, it's like the worst time ever. I launched that book. 3 days later, my marriage ended. That book on my 40th birthday, like 3 weeks after I had left my marriage, and it was the first day I was in my home by myself, and it was the day my book went live. And so like I say these stories because like there's never going to be the right time. It's never ever going to be like, oh, this is the time. Like it's actually probably going to come to you in the worst time ever. But if you write it and you publish it, even in the midst of chaos, you'll be wrapped in so much momentum.
That energy will support you.
It will.
That's what I'm learning. Now, you are so tapped into your intuition, and I think it's something that humans tend to suppress, right? They suppress their intuition and they rely heavily maybe on their thinking and their mind. And not to say that's a bad skill set, but I'd love to hear your perspective on intuition and how to follow that, because it looks like a lot of your work, and even the session that I had with you when we did the Instagram live, was a lot about like feeling and kind of bringing it to the surface through feeling. So maybe you can describe a little bit for the people who are listening, like what is your perspective on intuition and how do you use it to kind of guide your life, and then of course guide your clients into writing their books?
Let me find the answer for that. I need to presence this. Testing this. Do I share this story? Yes. Okay. So I had a pretty rough childhood. I had a lot of abuse. Like it wasn't like one time, like it was like years of abuse that had happened for me, which meant that I didn't really rely on humans. God was God and angels. And so I look at like everything is always working out for us. Like even the hell I went through worked out for me because it created the most stable relationship with me and the divine. Like I actually didn't have humans that I was like, they got me. Like I just didn't. And so the only place that I found my feet was in spirituality. So even as, I was like the 9-year-old on her bed reading scriptures every day because it was like the only thing I knew how to find God at that point. And that is why it's such a core piece to my life, is that it's been the stability in a world of not stability for me. So just naming like that's why it's so strong for me, is it's like the strongest muscle I have. Out of every muscle I have, it's like spirituality is the muscle. Now, what I found is that life is way easier when we actually access the spiritual realm, when we work with our angels, when we invite intuition to guide us, everything's easier. That means down to like even this morning, like for example, I have failed my driving test 3 times. Really awesome. And I got a ticket. So like I have to get a driver's license that's valid. So I like spent I spent so much time studying, because there's 2 folds to working with intuition and spirituality. Is you got to show up. There's like a whole myth in the world that like actually pisses the hell out of me. It's like this whole like feminine energy, like do everything spiritual. And to me, that's bullshit. Like, no, you can't do it only spiritually. You got to show up and do it physically, right? Like we can't just be like, all right, I'm just going to do this feminine. No, like I am the feminine. I work with a divine mother all day long. Like this is my energy. But if you're not going to show up and do your part, nothing is going to happen. Like it has to be masculine and feminine together. So the other 3 times I failed my test, I did no studying. And I just was like, my angels talk to me all day. Like I'm going to be fine. Time. And so then it was like, oh, I have to do my part. I have to do my part. So I spent hours last night studying, going through tests. And then this morning, I like gave it all over to the divine and to my angels. I was like, guys, like I have to be at the courthouse at 4 today. So like, you got to help me pass this test. Like there's non-negotiable. And yet I did my part. So I get there and my angels always talk to me in numbers. So it's February 13th and I get there and boom, the computer they sent me to is number 13. So I was like, got it. Okay. And then I go back to pay and the lady at the window was gone. And so somebody said, well, come over to window 13 and I'll help you pay. And so then it's like, oh, right. Like my angel's like, girl, I got you. And I passed. Like with flying colors. It was so easy today. So like when we use our physical realm of like action mixed with intuition, this is where we get marvelous results. And I see it over and over. Where people get stuck is that they don't listen to their intuition. So that muscle is super atrophied, and the muscle that's strong is their mind. And so they always go to the mind, which is like polluted with belief systems and lack and fears and doubt. This is not where miracles live. Miracles never live in the mind. Miracles live in the heart, and they live in the space of full faith, full trust, and that's where intuition lives. So I like to take people into their hearts, and I can watch when I'm channeling with someone if they're in their heart and their head. I can see it. It's like, get out of your head, get into your heart, get into your heart. I have people tap their heart. Like, how do we get here? Because if we're in our heart, now we actually hear what's possible. And we're given direct instructions on what's next.
Because I have a follow-up to that too.
I'm a little spicy on this. So one of the things that pisses me off with entrepreneurs is that they're all outside themselves looking for the answers. Like, okay, if I like go to this person or if I take this course, like, which like I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaches. So like, I'm like, get coaches. Yes. And learn what you need to from them, but they don't have the answer. They're going to give you tools and they're going to show you know-how, and they're going to tighten your gap for you because they've already done it. But like your intuition will always show you the next step. You will always be guided, and the answers are always within.
The answers are always within, because we tend to go outside of ourselves for advice, and advice is good, and you can use it, but the answers are always within ourselves. So if you're not giving yourself any room or any time to go within, then you're probably not connecting with yourself, with your higher self, with your spirit. There's lots of different names for it. So I like that. With intuition is really interesting. Culturally, I think we live in a world that is very much mental, kind of, I don't want to say shames, but almost like dismisses intuition and just kind of puts mental acuity on a pedestal. So I think it's difficult to get people to shift out of that. Like you said, if you're always focusing on your mental, there's a lot of stuff up there that might be redirecting you or might be fearful or something that nature. I think there's part of the aspect of the mind that's supposed to keep you alive and safe, the default mode network, that is kind of running. So like it serves a purpose, but may not help you with certain things. So, even me, I'm trying to intuition more and also pay attention to the subtle signs. And I really liked the story that you took us through where you went to the DMV to, get your license renewed or get your license. And you're seeing all these subtle signs that are kind of giving you confirmation, where most people, like including myself, wouldn't even pay attention that I went to window 13. I would just go over to the window, not even realizing what number it is, but you're paying attention to all these subtle signs. So there's probably a lot of subtle signs that are in our life every single day that we're not paying attention to because we're thinking about something else. And I think we have the ability to maybe think too much about the future when it hasn't even occurred yet, or maybe spend too much time thinking in the past, which is always taking us out of the present moment, where all of these subtle signs are right in front of our face, like giving us this validation that we're either on the right path or maybe on the wrong path, and we need to shift. So I think that's just a really great reminder to trust that intuition and not just say it's just a coincidence, it has no meaning, it has no power. So I really appreciate that. And the way you navigate the world is very fascinating to me because it's very different than the way I navigate the world, but I could learn a lot from your experience. So I appreciate it. So you also mentioned something earlier about and masculine and having to take action, that you can't just be kind of in the spiritual energy. Like you have to step into like I'm on earth, I'm a human, I'm physical, I got to do the physical stuff. So is there anything that you've adopted over this last year that has maybe helped you to get more into the physical, or maybe strengthen those types of muscles, whether it be like an exercise or cold plunging or saunas, or really any other activities that may be of helping you to grow?
Yeah. I'm like trying to find what's appropriate for me to share. I am an intense human. That means like when I feel all things intensely, that also means that like if I have to reset my nervous system, everything is intense. That's why cold plunging works so well for me. That's why hot saunas work so well for me. Like nervous system is actually top priority in my life. So run a publishing house, for me to raise 5 kids, for me to go through a divorce at the same time, for me to like manage all that I'm going through, like nervous system has to be clicked in. It just has to be. So, I mean, I don't leave my bed without doing 3 rounds of Wim Hof every morning. And I just like one of the presents, like Jesse is the one that came to me and it was like, maybe use breath work while you're going through your divorce. And it was like this, like, when you just hear truth, it was like just truth. Like, oh my gosh, that's it. So up until that point, I had only done Wim Hof at your training. I think it was like actually that same weekend. So I had actually never done Wim Hof breath work until your training. Maybe one other time I'd tried a YouTube video, but it wasn't regular. After your training and after Jesse gave me that insight, it was like a non-negotiable. Every morning, I don't leave my bed without doing 3 rounds. And then I do like a lot of crazy crap all day long, right? Like, for example, this is my sound bowl. It's an ancient Tibetan sound bowl. In between clients, I put it on my heart and I sound bowl, like 2 minutes, recalibrate my nervous system. If I'm like really stuck, because I get stuck, because like I really believe if you're ready to expand full heart all the time, you're going to hit massive lows. And I hit massive lows. My favorite tips, because I don't have a cold plunge yet, is I get in the shower and I don't get my face wet because I have clients. Cold, hot, fast. Like it's like a reset immediate for me. I go I chant a lot. Chanting is a quick reset for me. So because of, I want to say this for anybody who's listening who's been through a lot of trauma. Like I went through a lot of trauma. My body wasn't safe. So I leaned into the spiritual realm because that was way safer than being in my body. What I have found is it's the combination of the spiritual realm and being in the body that creates all of the actual miracles. So my job every day is, how do I stay in my body and how do I make my body feel safe? And if I'm always on top of my nervous system, my body feels safe. And I know when I start to spin that like my nervous system's out. And so I have to use one of my tools to come back and recalibrate.
Really good tips. And I love the idea that you are basically using all these things that you've learned to like recalibrate throughout the day, throughout clients, through like ups and downs. Like you have them at your fingertips. You have your singing bowl, you have the hot and cold like shower. I know you're building, stuff in your house, and you have your voice. You can apply those at any time. And all of those are going to help to kind of like stimulate the nervous system in order for it to, say, wind down, calm down, get more parasympathetic. So you're applying these tools real time throughout your day. So I would love to, finish with, what's next for you? What's coming up this year? It's 2023. We're just a few months in. What are some of the things that you're working on? Obviously, your partnership with Evan Carmichael is one, but anything else in your future? Obviously, you've had some significant changes to your personal life as well. You're in Genius Network. You've met a lot of people over the last year, a lot of relationships. Just 2023 have in store for you, your business, and personally?
Really, my main focus is how do I help 150 authors write their most important messages, publish their books, and create wild success. Like that's the number. That's what I see. I am every day I'm asking my angels to go out and find those people who like, they know they're here to change the world. Like one of my biggest things I always say is like, I don't publish boring shit. I don't like, I'm not going to publish people's books for stupid, boring crap. Like, no, we are going to publish books that change the world. So for me, it's like, how do I find 150 authors this year who want to change the world? There's something about that number that just lights my soul up. So business wise, that's it. Obviously, me and Evan are always masterminding on how to help our authors and how to make our publishing house be the best publishing house in the world. Like, let's do the best job possible. Creating my own Optimize in my house is a massive goal. Like to have a sauna and to have a cold plunge. I already bought red light therapy, which my kids have been using, but like this is for me, but it's also for my kids. Like I have teenagers and it's hard to be a teen right now. They need resets in their nervous systems. And I think this is going to be a huge thing for them. On opening my heart for any miracles that God wants to send me in my personal life. That means like trusting that like my heart can love again. That feels like a really huge goal. It's beautiful. And that also feels like a little bit like a Red Sea parting miracle. And I really like those kind of miracles. So and be surprised by the divine. So surprise me, divine, like surprise me with more things that I'm to create. Surprise me with things that are bigger than I could have imagined. Help me get on stages that I could have never dreamt of. Help me to reach hearts that I could have never believed I could reach. The bigger, the better. Like I said, I'm intense. So it's like, how can we take this to the next level all the time?
Take action without having all of your ducks in a row. I love that. What are three things or a few things, anything that you can mention for the people listening on how they could get even closer with the divine on a daily basis? Like what can they do on a daily basis to help them get more in touch with God, with spirit, with their intuition, so that they can be guided on the right path, on the path that they're supposed to be on? What are some practical things that we can do? Because it's amazing to talk about it, and intuitively, I think people know and trust that. But then it's so easy to fall back into the place of like being in your head, getting stuck in the day to day. So what's like, just like you implemented your Wim Hof breathing every day, you're like, this is non-negotiable for me. I'm waking up, the first thing I'm doing is that. What are some things that you've done that have been very helpful that maybe you can share with the people listening?
So it's like this. Someone wants to lose weight. Like, what do you say? Like, you got to make time for it. Like, you're not just going to lose weight by hoping for it or like thinking about it. It's like, if you want to strengthen your muscle of intuition, you have to make time for it. So I have morning and evening prayer videos that I put out on YouTube every day. Like every day it's a fresh one. Every morning I'm channeling it through. Every night I'm channeling it through. Those are really great places for people to be in. One, it's free. And two, it's just going to open you up to being guided. So like, for example, I go to the gym. I don't know what to do. I didn't work out for like 8 years. It's a horrible story to say, but like I didn't. It was like in this funk, and I go to the gym like, I don't know what to do. Then I joined this like hot works place where it's a sauna and you work out inside of it, and they have a video, and I just have to watch the video, and I like work out every day now because it's like so easy. I don't have to think about it. So like my videos on YouTube can be that for people. Like just go there and start playing in that realm. And it's going to strengthen your intuition every day, because on those videos, I'm asking you to listen. I'm asking you to tap in and listen to your intuition and listen to the divine and call in your angels. And it's just a great way to begin. So that's like a free resource. Another one is right before you fall asleep at night. Your eyes are closed, your head's on the pillow, you're not looking at your phone, you're literally about to fall asleep. You're going to put a request up to the divine, to God, to higher spirit, whatever it is that you need help with. I need answers on this. I need to be shown this. I need to know what to write in my book, whatever it is. Show it to me in my sleep or right when I wake up. This is my favorite tool, because like 90% of the time, because I'm a visionary and I actually receive visions, most of my answers come to me in my sleep. Like multitasking. It's phenomenal, right? Or right when I wake up, I see the answer. So granted, I've been doing this for a really long time, so my muscle's really strong at this. So if people try this, like if you don't get it right away, don't get frustrated. It's just repetition. Like just keep going in and asking. Keep being willing to receive, and you'll receive. It's just like muscles,
I
right?
love that. Yeah, that's a good exercise to do.
So those are, I feel like, two like bite-sized things. And then let me see if I can hear a third one. Right? Like when you start to feel like you're spinning, when you start to feel frustrated, when you start to feel like you don't have answers, if you could just place your hand on your heart and just like drop in and just listen. Like, what is it that I need right now? What is it that I need right now? And then just listen. And it might be like, you just need some water. Like, actually, you haven't eaten in 8 hours. You know what I mean? Like, literally, like, we just have to ask our bodies what it needs. And that's how we start to listen. It's like, you just have to start asking.
You have to start asking. I love that. Every example that you just gave was all about asking and trusting, and then creating a routine and creating obviously space to even do that, because we get so caught up with waking up, going at the tasks of the day, being busy, being in the mind. Even if we're getting like a workout in or something like that, I'll make sure I go and do some sort of exercise, but not giving myself room to ask. And my father passed away, just something to share, last month in January. And so I went and saw somebody to kind of learn more about his like crossing over and how that,
Yeah.
to get some validation on, how is he doing and all that stuff. And one of the things that came up with the person that I met with, who was a medium, is he shared with me that one of the things I should be doing more of is like asking in prayer, literally putting out what I need or what I'm asking for, or like giving me some sort of answers, just putting it out into the universe and getting into that habit. And then also creating a practice of gratitude, like making sure that I'm waking up or throughout the day at any moment, making sure I am like verbally stating out loud the things that I am grateful for. So I've been doing that for the last 30 days, and I'm going to start implementing the before bed, really trying to ask, because I kind of feel like I always go through life really blind. I don't ask. I'm curious, but I don't ask enough. And I just kind of see what happens. And although many things have fell into place, so that I do feel like people are there and guiding me. This is like a muscle that I really want to strengthen this year. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, and this year is going to be magical. Like it really, like imagine when you were a child the night before Christmas. And like when you wake up in the morning, there's all these Christmas presents, like that excitement. Like when you live like this, like your life can literally be falling apart. Like I state this, like my life fell apart these last 5 months. And every day is a day of miracles. Every day, like the divine gives me something that is just so delicious, because like this path of asking and receiving, and I always say full heart, full trust, just full heart, full trust, just scary as hell. But
Yeah.
it's like, that's where it all lives. That's
Yeah.
where the miracles live. And so, oh my gosh, it's gonna be the best year ever for you.
So much for coming on today, for sharing your life, your experiences, being vulnerable, for sharing your work. How do people find you? How can people connect with you? I know we're going to put some links as well in this video to be on YouTube. We're going to take clips, and we're going to obviously share and connect with you on Instagram, because I know you're very active on there. But for anybody that might be just listening and not watching, how do people connect with you? And how do they get started on getting their book out to the world in front of people?
So fastest way is just DM me on Instagram, Keira Brinton. Just send me a DM. I don't go live every day anymore because my schedule has gotten really full, but about 2 times a week I go live on Instagram. Those are free sessions. I just book channel with people. So people can DM me. You can even get to the calendar link on my Instagram bio, where you just pick a time. We're going to get on Instagram live, just like I did with you, and we're going to channel the book. Fastest way. don't email me. Don't email me. Just DM me. If they want to go look at my website, it's keirabrinton.com. We have joapublishing.com. If they want to check out publishing. But if I were to say, if there's one message, it would be, is like, whatever's in your heart, whoever's listening, whatever it is, whether it's writing a book or creating a business or making a dress or telling someone you love them, like whatever it is, like don't cap it. No more capping. Like let all the creations come out of your body, because it is magic and is momentum that will serve you and serve the world. Like let's stop hiding and really step forward and shine.
Beautiful. Well, let's end on that. That's amazing. That's a really great message for everybody, because we do get really caught in our fears and hiding. And you have proven throughout your life, with 5 kids, with everything that you have going on in your life, that you can accomplish so much more, and you're an inspiration. So thank you, Keira, for being here. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.